Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I am so excited to have on Elite Prospects has him at 6'5", which I believe is true. But they got him at 243 pounds, which I don't think he's seen since he was 15. I believe he is closer to 3 bills. And that's because he's had to wear custom helmets his whole career because his head is so large. A Challenge Cup champion with the Cardiff Devils, a 4 to 6 year pro, depending on what you think of the leagues he's played in, a fan favorite for the Cardiff Devils and Telford Tigers, Dougie Clarkson. How are you today, buddy?
Good, buddy. Thanks for that. That's pretty good. I usually get the Suitcase comments, but that's a pretty good entrance there.
Well, I thought, you were a fan favorite at Cardiff. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, thanks. So I seem to remember a lot of Walton jerseys up there too.
Well, didn't they have a song for you? Teach me how to Dougie.
They did, yes.
So
They'd play often.
I guess I'll get into the background how we know each other. We had
All
never met. I had met your brother. We were closer in age, but we both signed in Cardiff. And I think you sat in front of me or behind me on the airplane.
Yeah,
And I saw your gigantic head. And I thought this thing was sitting like a foot above the seats. And I'm thinking, what kind of giant am I going to play hockey with? Like, can this person skate?
We found out no. That was true.
Oh, you were just fine. But anyways, Dougie and I played in Cardiff together and won a Challenge Cup. And I think it was near the end of the year, they actually put us on a line together. And we actually started grooving there for a little bit.
We did. Yeah, we did.
So I guess the other thing is when I'm trying to explain how well I know Dougie, there's not many people you go on vacations with in your hockey career that you decide to go places with. But we played in Cardiff for just 1 year and we had young kids, and then he played in Dundee the next year. And after that season, we still decided at the end of our careers to go to end of my career,
Malta.
I guess. Gozo, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That was awesome. That was a blast.
So what are you up? Actually, I have to tell a story. The kids and I told them who's on the podcast tonight.
Yeah.
And Zoe says, "Oh, Dougie's big." And we brought up going to Gozo together. And
oh, great.
And we had to talk about when we caught the lizards.
The lizard, yeah.
So there were little tiny geckos all over Gozo. And I told my 3-year-old son, Colby, we were going to go out and catch one. So we got a little bin and we go out to catch a gecko. And there were hundreds of them. And they were fast. But Dougie was so scared of them. He is 6'5", 3 bills, and legit scared of a little gecko while my 3-year-old is chasing them all over Gozo. And Colby ended up catching one and keeping it as a pet. Yeah. And Dougie was scared shitless. And you're 6'5" and used to fight mutants.
I know, but those agility, like those things, agility, man, like. And like Madden or NHL, they'd be like a close 98. Those things are quick. They'll get you.
What did you think they were going to do to you?
I don't know. They're little and they're fast. I don't trust
it. Okay. So that is how Dougie and I know each other. And he's probably the softest, good hockey fighter I've ever met. Because he is always like smiling when he did it, but we'll get into that later. So where are you now and what are you doing now?
Thanks, Brent, for that opening. And I thought that story was in the vault. I'm back home and in Toronto. I'm a police officer. I'm also on the same shift as Andrew Hotham, Cardiff fans cheering. So luckily I still get to see Hoff a lot. And yeah, I'm just over a year and a bit on, and love it. It's amazing, and it's good to be home and settled, and having our own setup here with Nicole and everything, and hopefully continue this career for a while. And it's good because as you know, Wally, like when you're done playing, it's one thing, but it's that room with the boys and the chirps and the jokes and messing around, and that's a big thing. And luckily with policing, is very similar, especially with our shift. And I'm sure Hoff will tell you when you and him talk on this that it is a blast. Like the boys just mess with each other, and that's the biggest thing. So it's been really good, man.
I couldn't imagine Hoth chirping anybody. I was actually wondering what the police force's hiring credentials are, because I actually saw a police photo of a tournament you guys played in. I believe it's called the police team. And it was like an alumni game of my teams. Like I knew everybody on the team. So does that mean I can become a police officer if I choose to, or what?
There's a lot of guys that have played hockey that or in even the other sports too, actually quite a bit. But yeah, our full Toronto police team has a lot of guys that played some level of pro or something like that. So
We'll tell Richie Brunella and Andrew Hotham and all the boys I say hi. If I'm speeding around the area, just I'll let me get off. Okay, boys.
yeah.
Anyways, so that's great. I'm glad you landed on your feet after hockey, because I know it's tough for everybody, right?
Yeah, and it is tough because even when I first came home too, you don't know what to do. Like I couldn't sit behind the desk work. I know people can and people do it as a job, but I just needed to be doing something and having that relationship, like I said, with a group of people on a team setting and joking around and messing around. And so it was nice that it happened that quickly for me, because as you said, I know it is hard for a lot of guys when they come home. They don't really know what they're going to do, and they're so used to having the schedule and games and meals and everything like that. So it worked out, and luckily it did. Yeah.
No, man, I'm proud of you, because I know how hard you worked to become a cop. We were still hanging out, and you know, it means a lot to a guy when after the careers are over, like the people you stay in touch with and the people that actually take the effort to come see you, it means a lot. And you've been to Kincardine. You've been here. You've been, yeah, a few times. We've had some barbecues. We've been downtown, and it means a lot. And anyways, now it's time to get into where you grew up and your journey through minor hockey and how you got into hockey to like NCAA or major junior.
So I from Mimico, Toronto. That's a neighborhood in Etobicoke, and I got in. My dad was a hockey player. He was a goalie. He moved from Scotland to Mimico when he was a kid, and I loved hockey. So my brother and I both obviously continued that in lacrosse in Mimico, and so just started playing for Humber Valley and West Mall, like when you're 6, 7, when they start organizing it. And then I went to the Marlies, played for the Rebels, Senators, Fawn Kings, just kind of everywhere around. And then my draft year, actually, this is like shocking because I grew like 6 inches one off season.
Can I ask a question
What?
just about minor hockey? Because I'm
Yeah.
not from the GTA. I'm from a small town, and we don't like make trades and switch teams all the time. So can you explain how you just said you played on like 5 different minor hockey teams and why that would happen? Because they're all in different towns, I believe. So why wouldn't you just play for the town you're from?
No, they're all based in Toronto, Mississauga. So the rules for the GTHL are you can play for any team as long as you live within those limits. So I know in Kitchener, you have to play. If you live in Kitchener, you have to play for Kitchener. If you live in Waterloo, you have to play for Waterloo first. in Toronto, you can play for any of the teams in the GTHL. Toronto and Mississauga, as long as
So,
you live there. So you
so
can play for any team. And
so I understand why it's a bit more, say, perhaps
yeah,
of a business down there, and
yeah,
maybe there's some coaches making money and people doing some things
crazy.
to get on different teams. You
Yeah,
got any stories from that? Because I know you coach some minor hockey. Just while we're on the topic, you got anything good?
yeah. I coached. Well, I coach in Kitchener actually, and it is different out there. It's you don't get paid. You just get your travel when you go to a hotel and like gas stuff. I do know in Toronto when the kids get older to closer to the draft year, stuff like that, that there are teams that pay their coaches. And that's just part of having ex-pro players or ex people that people feel that would help benefit their kid. And you know how crazy it is for parents that just want their kid to be the best and put them in all these things all year round. And like even when I was a kid, I played baseball and lacrosse and soccer in the summer, and then in the winter we play hockey, and that's like that was normal. Now it's not a chance. Like that's your hockey full time, and parents are dishing out that much money. And so I guess that there's just expecting that coaches will have to get paid too, and start seeing that more and more, I guess.
I'm just dipping into minor hockey, and I'm not in anything like that area. But okay, sorry for interrupting.
Oh, it's okay.
No, I was just curious about like that. No, seriously, I was just curious about it. So now you can continue. You played for you were Suitcase already. So so literally you started as a Suitcase in minor hockey
100%.
and it continued.
Never
But
changed.
okay, carry on. Carry on.
Um,
Sorry. Maybe I'm too loyal.
Just a loyal guy, eh? Just a beauty. Yeah, no. So my draft year, actually, my minor midget year, I grew like 5.5 inches, and I was absolute dog shit. Like I was awful. So I actually went and just played like double A's because I was like, I can't. Like I'm not going to these tryouts in triple A. Like I don't. I'll just go have fun. And so I went to go play and had a blast and played well. I then came back for my midget year triple A, and then from there I went to junior A to the Toronto Thunderbirds. They disbanded after that first year, and then that summer I got my scholarship to UMass Lowell in an NCAA tournament, and that's when I went to Brampton Capitals, and we had a couple of really good players actually on the team. And Wyatt Russell's on our team, the goalie. He's been in some movies now and stuff like that. And so I went from there to was supposed to go to UMass, and then I went to Milton.
So what? Okay, hold on. You're switching. Whoa.
You're gonna need a pen and paper, eh?
No, seriously. Whoa.
I know.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. Okay, how old are you? What are we doing here? Like, so.
I'm 32, and I'm well over a team a year, eh? in my average, it's close.
In junior?
In my life.
Wow. Okay. Sorry. I'm just trying to keep track, and I think the listeners are trying to keep track, but I had lost track. So,
100%.
okay. So
there's a website for this now, eh?
I understand. I don't have it up now, but everybody can look. Okay. So let's not dive into every team then, because wow, I was getting confused. So what basically you were playing tier 2 junior A or whatever, and you get a scholarship to UMass Lowell.
Yeah.
And then you switch junior A teams.
Yeah.
But you still have the scholarship.
Yeah. I just had to go back 1 year just to graduate. So I stayed a 5th year so I can graduate, get my marks up to the NCAA, and then that's when I was supposed to go to UMass Lowell that summer. And my brother just left Kitchener. He just finished his career with the Rangers. So my parents were living out there, and I went skating actually with that 48-hour rule with the Rangers and Pete DeBoer and Steve Spott. And it was just that, like, I literally had my car packed, and I was just doing it just to skate with them because they had obviously a great team. And And before I left, they asked me if I wanted to sign, and they were hosting Memorial Cup that year. So obviously I wanted to, because I didn't really like, I liked the idea of NCAA, but from the stories that I was hearing about, especially bigger guys or guys that like aren't really into like running, it's like they would just hold this huge fitness, and like they would hold guys back for like not passing a sprint test or certain laps and times and stuff.
Where
And
is this?
well, at UMass Lowell too, but like just NCAA in general.
Are
What I
you
was hearing
this
buddies of
is
mine.
this is just a rumor you've heard then, right?
I
Because
no,
like once you have a scholarship, you have a scholarship. You get there. And like
no,
I have a few buddies that they were, if they could have cut them, if they could have let them go and not given them the scholarship, they would
yeah,
have said, "See you later." But they
100%.
had them and we were all together.
Yeah, but there was one like where in well, like like I just never I never cared about school. Everywhere I went, I was like, I'm going to play pro regardless. So I don't care about this. I'm just here to play, to get better and play. And a guy that was supposed to go to UMass Lowell before me, Frankie Stegner, he went to UMass Lowell before me, but he was pretty high, like highly touted recruit coming to the NCAA. And I remember hearing his like they only play like such little games compared to the O and everything, and they held him out because he couldn't do the 5 mile run in like I forgot what it was, like 35 minutes or something like that. And that was at UMass Lowell too, like year before I was supposed to go there. So they
Um,
held him out. They're pretty big recruit, and I was like, I'm not. That was
well,
one of the reasons that was in my head.
okay, well, you can make any reason why you stayed in Kitchener. That's fine. But
Thank
like
you.
I'm just gonna give you an example. At
Yeah,
Western Michigan, my senior year, they made just myself and my roommates. They told us to be on the team or whatever to get ice time. We had to run 2 miles in 12 minutes when we got back
yeah,
at the start of the season. Well, Rito came in at a smooth 15 and a half. And I was about 13 and a half, and I think I came closest, but then Stretchy was closer to Yahtzee than me. So there's there they can't just give up. You can't just lose the scholarship. So but
yeah. No, I
but
didn't care
I
about that.
understand. So the other thing is though, is there's a bunch of listeners because this thing is global, Dougie. Like there's a
Worldwide, Mr. Worldwide, we're
no,
calling
like
it now.
I there's like my German buddies and everybody are listening,
Hmm.
like they don't know who your brother is. So can you just explain quickly like who your brother is? Because they may not know.
He's Dave.
Yeah. So the guy that played for the
Uh,
Leafs, right?
yeah, yeah. He played. I don't know. It was a long time. He played for the Devils for I think 8 years. Signed a contract with the Leafs for 7. Got injured, and his contract just ended now. So this past year, last year.
So
So
is he healthy though? He's all
yeah, no,
good.
he's good now. Yeah, I know. If, like when it originally, like it was hard to like golf. I couldn't golf with him. Couldn't do any of that. Now he's back to being able to golf and stuff like that. So
Well, that's good. I met him at your wedding and he seemed like a dandy. Or I met him before in like high school, but
yeah, yeah, he's a good dude. He's a regular sized human. So
yeah, I'm sure your mother liked him a lot more
oh,
coming
yeah,
out than you.
yeah.
And your head with the custom sized helmets.
Uh,
Sorry. Anyways, carry on. Where were we?
I, I don't even know.
Okay. Okay. Here's my next question that on my
Yeah,
notes. Okay, are you ready? Because
I
you
am.
talked about those websites. It's like Elite Prospects. I'll shout them out. They're nice.
Yeah,
You played 0 games like in the middle of like junior 2009 to 2011, 2 hockey
yeah,
seasons. You played 0 games,
yeah,
and I know you went to NHL training camps. So
yeah.
how the hell does that happen?
So I went when I was done in the OHL. I went to um, I went to junior for my last year for junior A. A buddy of mine he was getting his first junior A coaching job, and I was supposed to go out east and play like just my last year junior, have fun. And back then you could make money and just enjoy living out east. And I told him if he needed me, like I'd be there. And I think we had like 14 rookies or something. So I stayed in Vaughan for the Vaughan Vipers and played for Forge. Great guy, great coach. And then it was actually funny because I was living, my cousin was a rookie on the team too. And so we were living at his house, at our coach's house, just so we can play like for the year. And my cousin go to high school and everything. And I think it must have been December, maybe late November, early December. My brother calls me. He's like, yeah, and I was doing well that year, but I was 20 and I didn't really fight much. Guys didn't really fight, but I had a lot of points going that year, and I think I was top 2 or 3 in the league. And my brother's like, hey, you probably better get in shape, eh? Like there's like the Devils are coming down. This is when he was with the Devils, and like there's teams like they're gonna come watch you. And I just remember slamming chocolate bars, slamming Call of Duty, like just I'm in no shape to like be going. I just was like kind of done, whatever.
Chocolate bars and Call of Duty.
Oh, slamming.
So this is after you left the OHL to go back to,
it was my last year.
Go back to like major junior or whatever.
Yeah.
Or not major junior, go back to normal.
The tier 2, yeah.
And then you started just letting yourself go.
Oh yeah, it didn't work out. And I was like the older guy in the team. We were supposed to be very good. We made the playoffs.
But you had 2 years before that you just didn't play. When
was
that?
No, this was after. Yeah, this was after. So I finished in Kitchener. I got traded to Erie, but then I went to Vaughan my last year.
When were the 2 years you didn't play?
When I was 21. It was the following season after my last year junior. I don't know the year. 2000, it'd be 2009. But I went to, so I started actually like trying to, because I know you brought up camps. I started like actually working out and whatever. And I went to New Jersey's rookie camp that year after that season, my last year. So I was 20. I was done in junior. And I still had my package from Kitchener because I had my scholarship at UMass Lowell that I left. And I went to the New Jersey camp, and Lou Lamoriello, like one of the nicest people, I think best GM, best hockey mind. He said to me like, listen, we'll sign you if you want to like an East Coast American League, whatever. But like take your schooling, if you want, just come back and me, I was lanky, and so I decided to do that. And I went out east to Acadia University, and straight up told the coach, I'm just here to play. I don't care about a degree or anything. I just want to play, get better, and for a couple of years and go back and sign. And that wasn't in the cards. They apparently like to do things differently where they play the older guys, and that's how they did it. So I left and came home in October of that year, and I just worked construction. The following summer, I transferred to Nipissing, and because of the eligibility, they make you sit out a year. So I had to sit out that next year in Nipissing.
So it's 2 years then you're out.
That was a full 2 years. And then I finally, my last year in Nipissing, I played, and then I went pro after that.
Okay, now I understand.
Yeah, it was the 2 years after junior, and then I played 1 year college, and then went to Toledo.
So you never came close to finishing school. You just went to get a couple classes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then you went pro to Toledo.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. So I guess what NHL camp did you go to though? Cause I remember you fighting like against the Leafs, like
that was Philly.
And when's that happen?
That was after the Toledo year, after my first year on the coast.
Okay, so then how does that first year in the coast go then? And like what type of role do you play in Toledo to get into an NHL training camp the next year? And how old are you by this point? Like, geez, you took 2 years off, like, and you went to Canadian University for a couple of years. Like, what's going on here? Like, I never even got close to an NHL. Oh, I went to an NHL training camp. They never let me play with the real players. They made me play with the recent draft picks, and then they made me go home after 48 hours. We're like, so you got yeah, just tell me the story.
Well, the funny thing with camps is like when I went to the New Jersey one when I was 20, I remember showing up there, and like I said, my brother was on the team, and in the paper was a picture of me in practice. And the good thing with New Jersey, well, I liked it at the time, was that I had buddies going like the Islanders and Rangers camp, and they were like texting me like, "Buddy, we're running like 5 miles in the morning, bag skating afternoon, running 10 miles at night, like nothing. We're in New Jersey, like walking down the street to Whole Foods, cooking up. We had like a practice a day, we had a game a day, like that was it. There was no like anything crazy, whatever." And I just remember going there, and this was before. I think this was a year or two before they did the visor rule. So they're like, "Do you want to wear?" I'm like, "No, I'm not wearing a visor." So I show up to New Jersey's camp. I have no visor. I have a big Reebok Bucky on, okay, and I get the old Sherwood Classics, the white shoulder pads, and I'm standing in line at this drill, and I just look like a complete meathead. Like, just this guy doesn't play hockey. He's just out there to fight everybody. And there's a picture of me in the paper saying like Dave Clarkson's brothers here at camp, like blah blah, and they're doing this thing. I look like such an idiot. And I remember my brother called me. He's like, "You look like you look like a meathead. You just like you look like a donkey out there." Yeah, that one was funny. But and I honestly, I played a lot of great places. You know, Cardiff is amazing. Toledo was spectacular, brand new rink.
Oh, so
Fans
you were
sold
in the
out
new
every night.
rink. Oh,
Yeah,
I see. Yeah, so you're too young for the.
I heard the
Oh,
story, the horrors of the other one.
oh my, the horrors! I tell you, it was like that was when hockey was hockey, man.
Yeah,
I like that was when I miss when arenas had personality, man. Like when there were different. They all look the same now. They're all the same, and
yeah,
there's people in some seats maybe sometimes. Man, back in the day when there were people like hanging from the rafters and there was like crooks in the boards and like you needed to know where it had to go. Like that was real hockey, man. That
yeah.
was like, I don't know. I miss the old arenas in Germany too, but sorry, I'm getting carried away. Go on.
Um, yeah, no, yeah, like I said, brand new rinks. Fans, we sold out every night. Um, the only shitty thing was that year. Actually, it was Adam Keefe who was the one that kind of got me there. I was supposed to leave college early and go sign in Texas.
Would he do
And
the podcast?
what?
Would he do the podcast?
Kiefer, yeah.
Yeah, put in a good word for
Yeah.
me, eh, big guy? Yeah, I've met him before. He did.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
would.
All right. Todd
Yeah,
won't.
I was supposed
Todd's a wuss. Go
I was,
ahead.
yeah, so I was supposed to go down to Texas in college at the end of the year for their playoff run and stuff. And I'm just like, I heard great things about there, but I loved going to Toledo as my first one because um, it was such a good, like the downtown, there's not much to it. They're trying to rebuild everything, but the fans were amazing. The rink, the way we were treated, the staff, the coach, it was a perfect way to start my pro career. The only shitty thing was a lockout. So we were split between the Chicago and Detroit. So we had like first rounders on our team from both teams. We had like it was, and I've for the longest time they extended the roster size because of the lockout. And I'm just sitting there, and for the games I was getting healthy scratch. I was like, I'm fucking done. Like I'm from Canadian University. They have guys on here that scored 30 goals last year in this league, like sitting beside me, like I'm fucking done. And luckily, when it ended, guys went back to the American League. And
Hey, remember what you said about the F bombs? You told me you were going to
oh,
try and
sorry,
stop. Jeez.
sorry,
Hey, earmuffs. I'm already
earmuffs,
wearing them
yeah.
though. I'm already
Yeah.
wearing them. It's okay.
I don't know why you got to do it in front of the kid.
No, I'm already wearing them. It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it was. Yeah, I love Toledo. It was a great spot, great group of guys. That's where I play. I played Joey Martin there first. That's where I met him.
Oh, the goat.
Yeah, the goat, the man.
Yeah, he's coming on next week, folks. He's coming on next week. You know, get ready, folks. The goat,
which I will be
the
listening
goat,
to attentively.
yeah, the Welsh Norwegian goat.
But yeah, no, yeah, Toledo's awesome, and yeah, it was a great group of guys, great rink, great fans, treated amazing. So yeah, it was fun there for my first year.
No, I could tell how passionate the fans were when I played against them back in the old barn. All right. So you played decently there during the lockout when you got into it. But basically, when you got into the games, you weren't really expected to score much, I assume. If you were into an NHL training camp and you're getting healthy scratched in the coast that first year and you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was, and I think it was just because of the fact that it was like the end of the year where I was playing better, then I got traded to Trenton and we were dead last. Great coach, Vinny, great guy, but terrible organization. I showed up there and I played. I remember Nagy, this guy Nagy from Junior, and I was living with him at the house. But I showed up there. It was, I think, my first day at practice. I showed up. I was in the hotel the first night. Go to practice. After that, I go back to where the boys are living, and it's just like maybe 10 different almost townhouses, like 3-story, 6 apartment buildings.
I know the East Coast living. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm like, I show up there and I show up to Nags' door and like I got my stuff with me and I'm knocking on it. There's an eviction notice. I was like, what? I literally haven't been here for a day. And I walk in
On what team?
On Trenton. And I was like, okay.
Which
like,
Nagy are we talking about? Corey Nagy?
Yeah.
Really?
The one that's in the is he Lindsay in the NFL or NHL right now?
His brother actually got me in shape after Germany to go to Denmark. His brother was a trainer in Waterloo.
He's a trainer.
Yeah. And his brother was still playing in the coast at the time, and he was just completely jacked. And I would try and work out with these fellas when I'd been hanging out in Germany for a few years. And holy moly, I could not keep up with those boys, but they whipped me into shape that summer. So that was nice of them. But yeah. Anyways, sorry. So yeah, we're talking about the same guy. So go ahead.
Corey Nagy, who's there, and I think he's my age, or he's anyways, we're close because I remember him. But I showed up and there was eviction notice. I'm like, what the fuck am I into here? Sorry, F-bomb. And I was like,
dude, that's 2 in a row.
I was like, man, like I don't know what I'm into here. Like we're getting evicted. I'm not even here yet. And luckily, there's only like I think a month or 2 left in the season. So I went there and played well. I played a lot. Ended up like breaking my hand and tearing some ligaments in a fight and everything. But that was another one that I liked. Like we didn't get many fans. I think they built that rink, like the Devils built it. So it was like actually like a mini NHL rink, and we got no fans. We were terrible too. And Trenton's not the best city. So we didn't get a lot of fans, obviously. And that summer I got offered American League contracts by the Leafs, who my brother just signed with, and Philly. They offered me an American League deal. And obviously I wanted the Leafs because from Mimico and being a Leafer and all that. But my agent and cool heads prevailed on his guidance that I signed with Philly. And I still remember like Ron Hextall calling me. I was walking down the street with my dad, actually going for lunch at a pub. And Ron Hextall called me. I told my dad, I was like, Ron Hextall just called me. And he was like, holy, he was all jacked up too. But it was cool. And honestly, I loved like Peter Laviolette is one of the nicest people I've ever met. And he's great coach, super hockey smart, but just a really good person. And I got to go to camp there and they were low on numbers. And I ended up being one of the last guys there to be cut. And that's why I got to play against the Leafs in the exhibition. And from that video you saw and scored and fought. And so
you scored in the game too?
Right before I fought. I fought right after I scored at the faceoff. Yeah.
In the preseason game. So, well, I guess we're going to have a celebratory cheers because this is, I think we're about 50 seasons into professional hockey, and this is the closest we've got to an NHL game. So cheers, buddy.
Cheers, pal.
No, but Scott Foster came on, or his gal told me that he might come on. He's a little reluctant. But that'll be my first ever NHL athlete
Oh yeah.
on the podcast. He was my college roommate. So, anyways, where were we again?
With when I was with a campus with Philly.
Right.
I
So
got
then,
sent
so
after
then
that.
you get to play that game. You
Yeah.
score a goal and fight.
Yeah.
And that was in Toronto
Yeah.
with the team that wanted to kind of sign you too.
Yeah. Yeah. They offered me an American League deal. Yeah, they both did, and just happened to be the first game of the year in their preseason games.
So then you get sent down. So does that season go all right then?
No, it's terrible.
Perfect.
We were in Adirondack in Glens Falls, New York, small town. I liked it. It was nice, small, super Canadian because it's pretty far north. It's north of Albany. But there was just I came down and right away I was in a lineup wasn't anything, and a lot of the year I practiced like the forward, everything like that. The games I did get in, I just fought, and I loved, like, the boys were great, the coaches were great. It wasn't anything with any of that. It was they had a lot of draft picks, they had a lot of good players, and we went actually like it got to a point where the graph rep came, and there was like I think 3 guys on the team that wore graph. And I just walked up to him one day, like halfway through the year, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna switch because my dogs were barking after bag skating. So I practiced bag skate at the end, do everything, and it was fun. But like my dog, I just had to go to like heavy, comfy boots just because I was dying. Like my feet were toast, man. But I was
Did you
not
say
300
your
pounds.
dogs were barking? Like,
Yeah, my feet were sore. You never heard of that? You're from Elmira.
well, I don't know if that's the saying, Elmira, but um, sure. um, but like, okay. So so how do we get from there to Cardiff? Because I want to get to Cardiff pretty soon because we got to
And
talk.
that's it. We're there. We're there at Cardiff.
Is that after that?
Yeah, I went to after that year. I just didn't want to. I was pretty much done with. At that time, I think I was 20, 26 maybe, and I was done. Like I couldn't. I knew there was no getting to the NHL, like as a regular and stuff like that. So I was tired of just doing the grind of the coast in the American League and didn't want to do that much longer. So I figured I'd try and go to the UK, and again Kiefer, knew Todd, and spoke to some teams and spoke to Cardiff, and next thing you know, I was flying out to Cardiff and bringing Joey with me.
Yeah. So you guys knew each other before then?
Yeah, when we were in Toledo, we played, and then when I signed in Cardiff, and I remember Lordo calling me and asking me because he was looking at this other guy too, and then but he wanted Joey, but he was looking at this other guy, and he didn't know about another player, and I just told him like Joey's he's he's going to be the best player on the team. He's a great guy. Just he's always like cool, calm. He's always the guy, and so I was like, you got to take Joe. Like if you're, I know you're not having doubts, but Joey's going to change teams, change everything. So, but and the next thing you know, we're on a flight together with you, and veering the flight to one side because I'm so big and heavy and my big head. But
I'm surprised the pilot could land her with that head on that side of the plane, but
he had to get some winds, like pretend like there was winds coming out of one side.
Yeah, they got things to avoid that. But anyways, so in that season though, like did you have a better year of hockey? Because I know I haven't. That was my favorite year of hockey, and I've had some good ones. But like maybe you didn't play as much as me, but I don't think I played much either. I thought that was the closest team I was on, the best group of guys I was with, and the best fans I ever played for.
100%. And it is crazy because, and I know I've even with Pigsy was on here too. Like that first year was like, it was such craziness of like maybe guys knowing each other the odd time, but like we don't know each other, you know, and we just all come and we're all Canadians and we all just, then next thing you know, we're starting to win and we should have won the league that year realistically. Um, but just, yeah, that group that it was amazing, man. Like from Lordo to Todd to the players, like every guy was so amazing and the fans were great. That rink, the barn, like the big blue tent, like that. I used to get like, remember I used to like punch the the overhead where like gloves and like I used to get so jacked. Like that was probably the most jacked I've gotten in games.
Oh, I remember you could hear their feet stomping
Oh
above
yeah,
you,
it would like
and
shake. There'd be like dust coming from like the.
yeah, like there was like junior B, like where you think there's like you're finally like, wow, there's fans, like they're loud, right? And then you get to pro and like they're loud. And Germany was crazy. Like Germany was crazy. I'm not gonna get into that. But the big blue tent, man, like the way they stomped above your head when you're
Oh
were
yeah,
in the locker room, you're like, are they actually gonna follow us? Because we're at a circus tent.
yeah, yeah. I think that was a big thing because we're like, this could fall apart. Like this isn't structurally sound. I don't think this is a structurally sound building. They could come through here right now. They're so loud.
But the other thing though about that team was like you'd have Joey Martin on a line, and then you'd have what was it like Haddad and Coley on a line,
Yeah.
and then you'd have us on a line with Matthew Myers,
Oh
and
yeah.
like we could just start rolling on teams where
Yeah.
they never got out of their end, and the fans would be so loud, like, and we would just start like literally they wouldn't even get out of their end, and it
Oh
was
yeah.
like it was like a festival of hockey and the fans are cheering and it was
Oh
nuts,
yeah.
wasn't it?
It was, and like like that's probably the only time I remember too. Like even watching hockey now, like you see a shift when like the offense is changing. You're like fuck, that's a long shift. Like they're working the boys. Like that was often for our team. Like there was often times where we'd literally have full possession and guys would just one at a time change offensive zone, go back in, and yeah, it was so much fun. And on the offense and the defense, like we had, it was such a great group, great talent, great. Oh, it was good, man.
And I think it all was, yeah, the owners, Todd, like everybody. I can't shout them out enough just
Oh yeah,
based on that year and then how I was treated after I got hurt, but
yeah.
they get enough publicity from this because I wore their hat since I got this new hat today. Um, but anyways, now I want I prepped you for this, so you got to choose. It could be one
But,
or all three. I want either a Carl, Hendo, or D story right now.
oh, I gotta go, Carl. Um, well, there's a lot of Carl stories. I'll let Carl tell you other ones or other people, but the one was in Belfast. We played him for remember the Challenge Cup one we played. Remember we got tossed for spearing.
In the Challenge Cup?
Yeah, like I got a 5 minute major for spearing with like 4 minutes left, and they almost tied it up in Belfast. And the reflection, it was the league reviewed it and suspended me for the reflection.
Yep.
So that game, no, it was a 4 minute penalty, but there was like 3 minutes, whatever. But we were up a goal, and I think it was the first leg of the Challenge Cup too. And after, luckily, the
Hold
boys
on,
held
hold
out.
on. You're gonna have to say what a first leg is, because like this is global, man. Nobody knows what a first leg
Well,
is.
it's the like first game of a 2 game series, like in soccer, football, you do
There
a
you
2 game. Yeah. Um, so we're up 5-4, and I get this penalty, stupid idiot and ref. And I'm like in the room and I'm like rattled. And I'm upset with myself just because of the boys. And at this point in your career too, like you come to Europe, like, do you really give a shit like that much? Like on that team, I feel like we all did. And
Sure
like I
did.
did that day. Like I was so rattled with myself. So I'm like sitting there in the room and I come out to the I remember coming out to that like to the walkout and I'm looking at the clock and the buzzer goes, I'm losing, like I'm loving it. And I remember talking to them, I was like, boys, sorry, like I messed up, whatever, and this and that. And I remember like the boys like we're just going to the pub after. And I'm like, no, like I'm not going, like I'm rattled, right? And I remember, I don't know who it was Joe or Chef or something, but they're like, yeah, like yeah, like come out and I was roommates with Richie actually. He's like, yeah, like come out, and I'm like, no, like I'm good. Like I didn't want to go out at all because I was so rattled, like upset with myself. And next thing you know, I see Carl, and Carl's like, Dougie, he's like, I'm not going out. So after we have some drinks in the room, I'm like, he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm not going out. Like you can have like, I didn't bring pants or anything either, right? So he let me his jeans. So I'm like, okay, Carl, where your jeans? So I finally go to the bar, and I'm
You're
wearing
wearing
Carl's
Carl's
jeans. They're a
jeans.
little short. Yeah, they're a little short, right? And I'm like, I get to the bar, and Lordo's there, and like I'm kind of rattled by myself, like and like just at the pub, right? Like the boys are just there. I'm just kind of by myself, and Lordo comes up to me. He's like, "Buddy, like what's wrong? Like this and that. Like start to fall, blah blah blah." Next thing you know, I'm like, "Okay, like thanks, Lordo." So like grab another beer, and I look up, and there's Carl with his track pants on, his red track pants on at the bar. He's ordering a beer. And I was like, Carl, I think he was just staying in or like whatever, like watching a movie. And he's like, yeah, like, I decided, like, they twisted my arm, like, I had to come out. And I'm like, well, I got your pants on. Like, that's why I didn't wear my red, my red pants out. Oh, Carl. Yeah, there's a lot of Carl good ones.
So he was nice enough to give you
Lend me
his
his jeans,
pants, which
to
would
go
not have
out.
fit, because
No,
I've seen your legs and his legs. You,
yeah,
you would have had some butt crack out the top for sure.
yeah. I had
uh,
his jeans on in the bar, and he walked in with his tracksuit, red tracksuit pants on.
so like, could you get those jeans off after?
Yeah, like the waist wasn't that bad. It was the length. You know what I mean?
Sure, right? Yeah, sure. Okay, you're sure. I don't see you fitting in Carl's pants in any way. I
At this
just
time, I'm 245, 255, maybe 250. I'm 300 now. We're not 300 back then.
oh, sorry, I just spat on myself.
That's all right.
Okay. Um, jeepers creepers. Um, there's a couple other things after Cardiff, but I mean, like we had so much fun in Cardiff, man. Like for
Amazing.
you to still be one of my best friends, and I
Mhm.
never get to see you hardly anymore. But you are one of the ones that are close enough to at least come visit me, and you have, which
Mhm.
means a lot. Like that year in Cardiff, man. Like I'm not joking. It's like 10 of my best buddies in the world are all on this from the same team.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that year, like you said, yeah, I played on great teams, great guys. I never really played with somebody I didn't like, but on that team, like that year was fully everybody bought in. Nobody was a dick. Like everybody battled. Everybody liked to have fun. Like we do a lot of team stuff, like go for drinks, go for lunches, like stuff like that. Like it was next level, man. And it is good. Like, yeah, you live not so far, so luckily we're still able to see each other when the COVID ends. But
Well, the difference for me was I had been in Germany. Where there at the start of my career, I had some guys that helped me get in with the German guys, and like everybody was together and we were a team and we would win. And then those German guys weren't on the team anymore. So then all of a sudden, we didn't have the people that brought the two together.
yeah,
And then when I finally, so then I went to Denmark. It's kind of the same thing. It was okay, but we won the championship, right? It was all good. I just wasn't asked back, I guess. It was
yeah,
all fine. But I got to Cardiff and we were just one, man. We were
Yeah.
just like, I've never been on a team where you were just like one. And
Yeah.
like I had my kids over there and I'd be getting off the ice and they'd be throwing me presents to give to the kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it was good. It was, and even just like for doing that stuff, like on the ice too, or off ice, doing like lunch, like going for movies, whatever it was, with the wives and stuff like that. Like, I would not feel any different going to a movie with like you or like Marty or Chef or Cully or Hendo. Like, it would be the exact same. Like, we were all just like one thing. Like, everybody's just like, yeah, let's go. Like, you want to do that? Like, there was no uncomfortableness. No, it was so weird. Like, it was almost too good. It was like weird. Like, looking back now.
It is weird because like they bought that team and had 6 weeks to put together a team, and they literally put together of like a group of like kind of misfits, right?
Yeah,
Like
100%.
you were the Suitcase like since the time you were 4 years old, trying to
Exactly.
whatever you were doing. I don't know
Yeah.
what you were doing, but then like somehow the goat shows up, right? And then I'm at the end of my career. I don't give a shit if I'm on the second, third line, first line, fourth line. I just want my MBA. I want my kids to be happy, and I want everybody on the team to be happy, and I want to win. And then you got Hendo fighting everybody. You
Yeah.
got Lordo trying so hard to be the best coach he can be, the best player he can be. And he's
Oh yeah.
trying, as a player, he's trying so hard to make the team win. Like he was trying so hard that everybody else on the team was like, have you ever seen anybody try that
Yeah.
hard at hockey?
Oh yeah. It kept making me think like, do I need like this how this guy works? Like, I need to work harder here. I thought I was coming here for like a laugh, for like the boys, have some fun. Like, yeah, no, it was it was a blast, man. And even just afterwards, just like going with the fit, like, and it's, I know it's different now in the new rink, and maybe even now just in general, but like just going like just down to the bar there, like at the BBT, like just for drinks was like nothing. Like, that was, I like that. You know, you go and you say hi to some fans, you have a laugh, and you're slamming drinks, and it was just so like easy
Well, that
almost.
that was my night out, right? Like that
Yeah.
was with the kids. Like that was my night out. Like going down after the game, we would sit in the room, and there would be times they'd be kicking us out of our room because we didn't want to leave, and they'd say you have to go drink with the fans. Well, the fans would stay as late as we wanted to
Oh
stay,
yeah.
and by the time they were done, I'd be like, okay, like my night's over. The rest of the team would go out, and I'd go home to bed because of the kids. And my night out was the BBT, and it was so much fun.
Yeah. It was a blast. And it was funny too. And yeah, Marty and I on Mondays used to do the old executive workout, we'd call it, the pool. We just go in like quick sauna, quick little elliptical, and leave. But
Sorry,
um,
sorry, you did elliptical on a Monday?
just a little, yeah, Monday morning, Joey, like we had the day off and we were done the Sunday, right? So Jimmy and I, or Marty and I would go and have the old executive sweat out,
Well, that's yeah, no, you guys.
sauna steam, and
I never got on the elliptical on Mondays, but that's good for you guys.
well, you're also in class and bettering yourself.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Okay, so anything else you got to say about Cardiff before we move on?
No, just it's like you said, it was the best place I've played, for total, for fans, for the boys, everything. Had a blast there. Great rink. Probably the most fun playing there. Just the same reasons with the guys. I was scoring. I was playing well and fighting, and that was. I just wish I could have played longer there, but that's that's in the past now. So
And I knew how bad you wanted to stay. I knew how bad I wanted you to stay. Um, I guess it's like any organization. you get into the business world and all that crap. Um, there's somebody that makes the decisions of who
Mhm.
is what, and they made that decision, right? And that they could upgrade at that position. I personally, if they wanted me to be on the third line next year, that's what they wanted me to be on. I wanted you and Matthew Myers. Like,
Yeah.
that's who I wanted. I wanted Matthew Myers to go to the net, and I wanted you to be able to pass, shoot, beat anybody up that was around me. And Matthew Myers would be standing in front of the goalie. Like, that's what works.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was good. I love Mizey, like such a great guy. And well, even now too, he's obviously doing great. Since then too, since playing with him, but I still remember like I'd always loved showing up early to the rink in Cardiff, and like I did it everywhere I went. I always showed up early and I have a chew and like just relax. And when you're in the coast in the American League, like you're watching highlights and having a coffee and chew. And but I'm sitting there in Cardiff, and and Lordo's always there, right, too, that year. And I remember Mizey showing up in like the first couple weeks. I was like, okay, it's maybe whatever. But this went on for like months, and finally, I'm like, Mizey's like, what are you doing? And he'd show up every morning in the back room there in the change room with fresh hard-boiled eggs and mackerel, and it would reek. And there's like I'm like, why can't you go eat that like out in the rink area? Like we're in a small little like a trailer here. Like this is how small this room is. You're slamming a mackerel and hard boiled eggs. What are you doing? It stinks, man. Some microwaves. There's a little Dean's has some microwave out for him, and oh man,
What do you
so I had
what do
to
you
sit up
what
like
do
I
you
literally
what
had
do
to
you
go sit up.
microwave? What do you
What?
microwave? What do you
He
microwave?
microwaved his mackerel.
You microwave mackerel?
He would microwave his mackerel or his eggs or both. I don't know. I had to get out of there. I was sitting up in the. I had to go like run up to the seats, man.
Okay, so hold on. This is before any of us get to the rig?
Yeah, this is like 8 a.m. and there's Lordo in there doing stuff. I show up just because I like hanging out there and relaxing. And Mizey walks in with his work clothes on and slamming mackerel and eggs,
Um,
like hand bombing it too.
I knew that he ate stinky stuff. That's about all I knew because I wasn't there like that early. But
Yeah, it was gross.
do you remember, or no, you didn't sign for the next year. The next year after that season, when like we were all just being beauties and daddies and we were all just living, going into the next season, Lordo sends us an email of Richie's diet of what he had ate in the last 7 days. And
Of Mark Richardson?
yeah,
Yeah.
if I would have ate that the last 7 days,
What did
I
he
would,
eat?
I don't, I can't even remember what it was. Like, it was like, I only eat, I only put this oil in because it cooks at this temperature. And I only eat this because of this. And I only eat that because of that.
Really?
And I was like, I'll pretty well just eat whatever somebody gives me. Like,
Yeah,
and maybe that's why they're all still playing, eh?
maybe
Huh.
that could be it.
Huh.
Um, the and oh, that's another thing too. Richie, what great hockey, phenomenal hockey player, first of all, but such a great guy, quiet, whatever. But and I roomed with him on the road, and I remember my very first trip, and we're like, we walk into the room, and I'm like, it's I think we got the wrong room, Richie. Like this is a double. Like I'm not fitting on this bed. He's like, no, this is how they are. I was like, what? And I'm like, just curl up in this like ball, trying to fit on this bed. And then I think it was another because we played Belfast like 12 times that year, but another one at Belfast too. And I went to bed with like I'm laying on the bed and I'm like, I got my iPad and I got those Cadbury buttons, and I'm like, I'm eating the buttons and I fall asleep, right? Like when we'd have pints before we go to bed. And I fall asleep, like I fall asleep. I was like, I wake up in the morning and we go out for Richie's alarm. Richie's alarm's going off, and I'm like, we're going for breakfast, and he always went down early, and I'm like, oh, just give me another whatever. So I slowly get out of bed. I go to the bathroom, and there was like brown, like I'm talking chest to like kneecap. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened last night? Like I had 2 beers. Like what's going on here? I look in the bed, there's brown everywhere. And I just see this empty Cadbury buttons bag. I was like, oh my God, it just melted. The chocolate just ended up down my side and melted all night. Richie was dying. He couldn't believe it.
Oh dear. No, like sorry, we got to focus up here though. I don't know how long we've been going, but the one thing I would say though is like every time a game was over, right? Like I'm at my stage of my career, you're at your stage of your career. You know what? I think Chef might have turned a page since he was with us. He was my roommate. I think I dragged him into some deep water that he didn't want to be a part of. But I think he's improved since me, and that's why he's still relevant. So good for him.
That's
And Chef, I'll have a cook-off with you anytime. No doubt. I know you look good on Instagram, but bring the noise. Anyways, where were we? Sorry. So Joey was my roommate, and you would come over, and we would have like room service, bring up like 10 beers, and we would each have 3 beers so we could go to sleep at night when we'd be up in Scotland or whatever. And like we'd finish a game, and like to fall asleep after a game, you need like a beer or two, or else like you're going to be awake all night thinking about like the play you could have made, whatever,
the punch you shouldn't have eaten. And it's funny too, because even like Richie, actually, I do remember that. Like I'd go in there and then I'd come back with Richie, and Richie would always we just have a couple of Guinnesses, like because he'd like Guinness too to fall asleep. But even the first couple of times too, I'm like hearing him, and he's got his phone like sideways like this, and he's like, there he's like, and I'm like, what are you doing? And we would literally just sit there, have a couple Guinnesses, play video games on our phones, iPads, and just have a laugh. But what a great guy! One of the nicest people I think I've ever met. Such a good dude.
100% one of the best people I've ever met. Would not hurt a fly, but would eat a puck for any teammate, and would do anything to win a championship. He literally would do anything for anybody, but would not ask for anything in return.
Yeah.
That's Richie.
Yeah. Phenomenal human.
How did we get into this?
I don't know. Well, no, you're saying something about roommates and Chef.
Oh, well, and sorry to Chef for trying to steer him down the wrong path. I understand hockey's changed. And Joey, if you ever hear this, because I know you're busy playing in the coast, you might be on some long road trips and need a podcast. Who knows, right? You never know. But I'm sorry for trying to lead you down the wrong path. You needed protein shakes. You needed ice tubs. You needed the foam roller. You need the lacrosse ball. You need all that. You need the bike.
And the gel. He always had good hair.
I believe you have to stretch too, because if you don't, then you feel like me now.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. I still remember too, like when one of the first times too going over to Chef's apartment, and he's like, he made like I think there was like, I don't know, like a couple of couples there anyways, and he opens the door in this like this full cooking apron, and I'm like, what? And he's like, how do you like your guac? I'm like, what? He's like, you like it hot, medium, mild? I was like, I don't know, Chef. You make it medium, maybe mild. I don't. I'm not good with hot and everything, but that was one of the funniest, like, just the way he is too. Like, it's just no big deal for him. It's normal. He's like, well, what do you like? Just in the, it was like a red cooking apron. That
I
killed.
I won't lie to you though. Uh I loved being his roommate. I really did. Like, and the next year we were supposed to be roommates again, and we vibed, man. Like, he was always in a good mood. He was
Mhm.
always in a good mood, and
Oh
I
yeah,
was always in a good mood. And yeah, he was a great roommate and a great dude. And I'm happy to see he's now the Captain Rabbit or whatever for Lordo's squad there. Where did you see that?
no,
He's the captain of
really
Lordo's team in the coast.
nice. The swamp rabbits.
That's right. He's the
Yeah,
captain swamp rabbit.
nice. That's sweet. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, Lordo's he's good for that. Good for the smart. Loves it. Works hard.
loves the game.
Loves the game.
Okay, here we go. So after Cardiff, what happens to you? Because we already know we went to Gozo after you played in Dundee,
Yep.
which so I guess we could get into Dundee a bit if you want. I think that my favorite part about Dundee is that the Cardiff Devils fans call it Dundee drunk. And every time the fan bus is going to Dundee, the whole bus gets Dundee drunk, which
It's
means
classic.
you're going to the arena with the curling rinks still on the ice,
Oh yeah.
and you're mailing in for a game, you're having a game, and you played there for a full year, eh?
Yeah, it was I loved it there. Like I said, like my dad's from Edinburgh, from Leith, and we always visit when we were kids and got family in Scotland, Ireland, and loved it. And as you know, playing there too is awesome. Fife and Edinburgh and Dundee, just the fans are amazing. And I loved it. And it honestly was very similar to Cardiff when I got there. It was all new guys. Everybody was great, like beauties, the boys on the team, um, the coach, Mark Lefebvre, great guy, great coach. And at the start of the year too, it was scary how much I remember texting Marty to me like, this is weird, like, because we were at the top of the conference for like 2 3 months, and I think it was right before Christmas, like right or just after the end of November. I don't know what changed with ownership or management and how they wanted things to be done, but there was a big shift in how we operated. As you know, we'd go out to the pub, we go to the casino with the boys after games and stuff, and Mark, our coach, would come with us, and just he was one of the guys because he's a young guy too, and he just finished playing not long ago, and things, I don't know what it was, but things changed and it just went downhill like south quick. And if we could have sustained the winning that we were doing at the start of the year, probably not, but there was still like the fans were great in Dundee. The rink was good. The room, like our training staff was great, and we had a really good time there. Like we had a nice place there in the cold eye, and I loved it. And just being in Scotland was nice. My parents would come visit and stuff like that. And but yeah, it was fun. And like I said, it was starting to remind me a bit of Cardiff with the guys, and the guys never changed. Their attitudes and everything was always amazing, and it was a ton of fun. But just wish we could have done something better with the year. But yeah, it was awesome. I had a blast.
Well, that's good, man, because like listening to you talk about the year at Cardiff, listening to me talk about it, listening to Hendo talk about it, listening to Todd talk about it, listening to everybody talk about it. Everybody is like, well, like it was good, but it wasn't like that year.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
And like I said, like it's different now with the rate, and the BBT was outrageous, and unfortunately, new fans and players are going to get to experience that. but like I said, it's such a such a bar, such a high bar. And I'm a huge believer in that. Like, it's just literally being a normal person, being one of the boys, having a laugh, hanging out, not being a dick, having fun, stuff like that. Like, everybody gets along. The wives got along. Like, kids were all like, it was such a perfect mix. And I think it would have been a great mix anyways. But I think like Todd and Lordo and the new owners, like they love that. Like they came out, like they enforced that almost. Like they loved hearing that. They loved to be a part of that too, not just,
Can I talk now?
No, so what I was gonna say was, yeah, go
no, like I just you hit a nerve there. Like in my opinion, and in the places I've been, you need a leader. You need a guy that's like a real leader. Um, you need good people, right? After
Yeah,
that, you need good people.
exactly.
And Lordo was a leader. Todd was a leader. Um, Marshy was a leader.
Oh yeah.
There was a bunch of leaders, but everybody else was like a really good person. That
Yeah.
was like the biggest thing was that,
Yeah.
like, nowadays, when you think about looking back on hockey, like that's like the only year that really clicks, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what I think of. It was that year and
Yeah.
those
I agree.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, like that's, you can have, even now, like for any league, any whatever, any sport, I think it is the biggest thing is guys and girls, whatever the sport is, if it's guys or girls, but just being nice, being good people, working hard, having fun. Like that's going to get you a lot farther than just having guys and girls that are good at things and good at sports and talented. And like we had talent on our team, there's no doubt, but we were all, like you said, misfits and just a bunch of great guys that were led by great guys, and new owners are great guys. And just it was such a good mix, a huge mash of perfect.
It was. And like what I would say about like my last guest, Barrett Eggets, who was born with a club foot and who gets no chance out of college because he didn't have an ankle the same size as the other one and he didn't have that giddy up, and like he was he had more character. And I tell you, if you put him on that team, we could have even done more. But like you got to get guys with character. Like it's not about how fast. Like it's like the football. What's it called? What's the football thing called?
Well,
Where like they're doing the before the draft.
oh, the combine.
Yeah, the combine.
Yeah.
They literally only draft them based on how they do in the combine.
Yeah.
And that's where hockey's going. And you
Yeah.
need character. You need
100%.
character.
Yeah. And like I said, even when I went to New Jersey's camp when I was 20, we didn't, and my buddies, like I said, they were at Rangers camp, Islanders camp, they're bags team, they're working out all day, they're doing this, running and they're training, they're measuring their, their lifts and everything. New Jersey, they made you walk on a treadmill, make sure you didn't have a heart murmur, and they would literally they would look at you and see if you're out of shape. They put you on a scale. Like that was it. There was no, and this was when things are starting to heat up a bit for their training and fitness levels and all that stuff. And that's the one thing that you can never measure is how somebody interacts with people or how good of a guy they are, or like the character, like you said. Like that's, unfortunately, we're going into a path of all stats and all Corsi stats, and everybody worries about how much time this guy's puck on a stick or how good he is in these situations. Well, the guy won't block a shot for you when the game's on the line. So don't know what you're talking about then because you're going to lose.
Well, and it's this you're absolutely like I keep saying the same stuff on this. I keep saying
We've become best friends.
I keep saying you're absolutely right, and I completely agree. I just realized I say the same shit on this podcast all the time. So maybe I should figure out some new sayings. But shit, I gotta come up with something new. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say. So we got to get into did you because after Cardiff and
Yeah.
Dundee, okay? So
Yeah.
Dundee, you go there, it's all good. I love Dundee. Every Dundee fan out there that ever listens to this, I'll never forget shaking it off for the fans, for the Cardiff fans and the Dundee
Yeah.
fans.
I was there too. And for me too. I was there watching.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I shook it off for everybody. Thank you for coming up all that way to watch us donkeys play hockey. That's pretty nice because we are just average blokes, as you'd call them. And now I want to get into if you played 4 or 6 years pro. What do you want to call it, and what happened after Dundee?
Uh, 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 no, when I was done Dundee, that was pretty. I wasn't going back to Dundee. We'll say that, and that was mutual. And I did want to come back to the Elite League. Just unfortunately, there were a couple of hurdles with a couple teams, but after that, I got talking with Tommy Watkins with Telford, and he called me and mentioned that obviously they would want me and they would do anything to get me, kind of deal, and this and that. So I spoke to him, and he's a great guy, and right away just was like, yeah, it's different because there's like 2 imports at that time there was four imports.
Don't you have your
And
passport?
so yeah, but it's you're trained. It's where you're trained. So where you play your minor hockey, that counts. The only thing good with having having a UK citizenship is for their taxes,
Well,
because they pay you as a Brit, as like they pay the tax on. They don't need to pay for an incoming player for my visa and stuff like that.
Oh, so that's the only break. Like in
Yeah.
Germany, if these guys get a German passport,
Oh yeah.
they can play until they're like in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like if they're that good. It depends how good they are, but like there's some guys that have played like 15-year careers that
Yeah.
would have had a tough time making the coast after a year.
Yeah. And it was tough though, because in this league, it was like they really did want it, because you know how the Elite League is. It was all Canadian American Euros. There's barely any British players except for the exceptional ones. You know what I mean? So this league, they focused on that, which is a good thing for their hockey, for their program, because you need kids to play at a somewhat decent level. You know what I mean? Other than the 13 exceptional players. So, but I love Telford. It was amazing. Fans were amazing. Different, obviously. It's a lower league, the league below, but yeah, for fan wise and ownership, how you're treated, everything like that was very similar, but it was just the hockey aspect was significantly lower,
Right.
and
So
that was
it's still a good way of life,
I
and
still loved it.
yeah, you're still making a good living.
As an import, you're still making good money,
Yeah.
but
Because I think there is a guy that's in my neck of the woods, or he grew up in my neck of the woods because I played against his brother, Steve Silverthorne. He was the goalie. Is there not his brother Jason that grew up in Port Elgin, just down the road from
yeah,
you?
I played with him in Telford. He's still there.
Yeah, I already knew that. I was just
Yeah.
bringing it up.
Oh, you just did your research. Jay and I are just tossing it in our little
No, I knew
slide
I
book.
didn't have to do my research for that. Like
Oh,
I already knew that.
yeah. No, he's yeah, Souls. Yeah, it's a good way of living, and like I said, the fans. It was very similar to the Elite League, um, and how passionate they are. The towns were great, and it's the UK. It's the cities are very similar with the pubs and restaurants and nightlife and travel and all that. But the only real difference was the on ice was, and that's due to the fact that we could only have 3 imports on the ice at a time.
So like you're still getting paid. Like that's
Yeah,
like so like yeah, he's over there getting paid. Like because I've seen him over there for years, and like I know his
yeah,
brother from shooting on him every year in every single league we played in, and like um, it's impressive how long guys play, right?
yeah. And Sills is like, I think he's he's older than you and Jason.
Thanks,
Um,
thanks.
but I'm only 32, but I think he's close to 40 now, or over 40. But yeah, no, he loves it, and yeah, he was the same. He came with Lou Dickinson, actually, played with him in Edinburgh, and then he went to, I think, another league, but then came back and just been at Telford since. But loves it, like has a life there, and you get a good gig going. So why
No,
stop?
I really think that the people that can live in a town in hockey and actually build a life around it are the luckiest people I've ever met. Like you're saying about him, like he's got a life and he's just a hockey player and he just well, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. He could be doing more, but he has a job every year as the hockey player in town.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of guys out there that in the second league in Germany or wherever it is, like they set themselves up pretty good.
yeah, yeah, and that's the biggest thing is like I knew that, like, it had to come to an end because I'm coming home, like, with Nicole, and we're like, this is our dream and our deal here. But for other people that can do it, like, it makes total sense because it's a good gig, and you're already known there, and you know the area, and you've been there for that long, and um and and two, like in Telford, but my first year there was a bit of a shit show with our owner, and we had some amazing family come in, the Fieldings, Daz, um, and just came in and kind of saved the day for the league in general and us to keep going, and we ended up winning the league that year, my first year there, um, and it was just, yeah, it's just like a UK, like it's hard for guys that haven't played in the UK, or people that haven't like lived there for a while or experienced it, but it was just like standard UK, like the fans are great, rink rink
I
was good, restaurants, like you're treated great, and everybody's rallying around you, like the town,
it's crazy for you to say that. Like I didn't know what that league was like. I saw the points you're putting up, which were I did you ever score 50 and 50? Did you ever do it?
I did.
You did? You
Yeah,
scored 50 and 50?
yeah. I think it was
I
like
saw there was
42. I think
53 games played and 50 goals.
I scored 50, and I think it was under 50. I'm
Wow.
not sure.
Anyways, heck of a league. But I what
Thanks.
what I would say though is I totally understand like what the town, what everybody would have thought of you. Because like there was a time in Beating High where they all loved me, right? And like it is pretty wild when like you're scoring goals and the town actually cares.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
anyways,
I thought you were gonna say something there. Yeah, no, it is. And it is and like the rink's right in the city center and the mall, and it was awesome, like just being there, and I didn't have to fight much, obviously, but just scoring the goals, scoring the big goals, and having those 2 years I had there was just it just made hockey so much more fun again too.
okay,
So
okay. So last thing, okay, because we've probably crossed the line here, and we got to shut down the recording. This is only 2 ales. Um,
2 L's.
yeah. The thing
Imagine there was
is,
about 6 in the old system.
well, the thing is, so we've talked about scoring 50 goals in 50 games. I've played with you. We were grooving. You protected me. I'd pass to you. You'd score. It's all good. Matthew Myers would be standing in front. The goalie would see his butthole. It'd all be good, right? Right?
Perfect.
Like
Exactly.
that was exactly how it worked.
Exactly how it went. Yeah.
It was exactly how it went. Nobody would go near me. I would do my thing. You would
Mhm.
score. He would put his butthole in his face. So, right? Where was I going with that? Holy moly.
So fighting?
Yes, exactly. So you were actually could score. You scored 50 goals in 50 games. But like every time I saw you fight, you beat the guy up and you did it smiling and you were laughing and you were like actually enjoying it. And I was like, well, why doesn't he just beat everybody up all the time? Like, why doesn't he like grab them and like just beat them up? Like, but like you were just doing it for fun and you were like smiling while you were doing it. It was just very interesting because all the other guys were like so intense and like they were so mad and they were aggressive. And you were like, oh, do you want to get punched in the head? Oh, okay. Pop. Oh, do you want another one? Oh, okay. Pop. Right?
Yeah, it's
That is how
yeah,
it went.
it is, but it's just one of those things where I've never really liked fighting. I've just been good at it, and I've been big and strong. And my brother taught me, and my dad taught me when I was young, and just learned how to fight from them. And there's guys that can do it and want to do it for a living and do it to get in places. And even junior, I did it out of necessity because guys hated my brother, and I was coming up as a rookie, and I'm 16, and 20-year-olds are used to get beat up by my brother or trying to beat me up, and so I had to start fighting, and I did well in it. But it was just one of those things I never liked doing it because I don't like like that much, almost like hurt. Didn't I'm just big hands and hit hard, and but I've lost some and been put out a couple times, but it is what it is. You do your thing and try to get to the level and try and make money and try to get it after that NHL deal or American League contract, and yeah, that's it, man.
Um, I just like I know you and I know you're a teddy bear. And I just want to give you a
Exactly.
big hug. Yeah, like
Yeah.
and like but you get put into that situation because you're a good hockey player and you're that big, right?
Yep.
Like you are. You're a good hockey player and you're that big. And back in the day, if you're that big, that means you
You're gonna have to
fight.
go. Oh
It
yeah.
doesn't mean you play hockey. It means you fight.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the thing too, is I I didn't do any myself any favors, especially like with workouts and being the hardest worker and all that stuff. But it was everywhere I went, junior, every pro, being that guy, you have to fight. Somebody's coming after you because somebody's trying to make a spot, somebody's going after the biggest guy, and a lot of times I put people down and put them in their place, but sometimes you don't, or I definitely didn't feel like fighting all the time, but that's something that you do, and something that's part of the game, and it should always be part of the game. But personally, I just never really liked the thought of having to do that, every day, every game, but it worked out. We had some laughs, we had some fun,
Oh no, like
scored some Genos.
absolutely. Like, hey man, everybody tells me that if I was jacked up and I had six pack and whatever, I would have made the show. Well, guess what? My body doesn't look like that. And if you're not a heavyweight fighter and you want to fight every heavyweight every single night, then that's not you, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
guess what? And guess what? Like, you could actually score. Like, you
Yeah.
scored 50 goals in 50 games, and like, you enjoyed playing hockey and you weren't a killer. Like, I've interviewed a killer on here. You're it's not the same personality, and I think that's why me and you go to concerts together. We go to
Yeah.
Gozo together,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a job for some different individuals, but it is needed. It's something that it's something that's there, and you're gonna have to do that. And the one thing I did enjoy was doing that. Somebody got blown up, somebody hit from behind, somebody's picking on like you or Joey or something like that. Like, oh, I'm all like, see you later. I'm off the bench. I'm in there. But it's one of those ones where it's guys asking me, or just because of the fact I'm so big or whatever. But like the change of pace ones are always good if we're playing like shit and you go out and tilt, and or somebody gets hurt and something like that. But yeah, it was always just, there's so many different circumstances, but it was always
no,
fun.
can I I would like to say that when I played with you,
Yeah.
even when I scored, I had never felt so safe because you would come and you would wrap me in your arms, and I would be like, nobody could punch me right now. Like, like, look at how big these arms are, right?
Oh yeah.
But anyways, like, I get it, man. Like, I didn't want to fight, but I would do it when it was time. Like, when it was time for the team needs this, like, we're down or we're out, and you need the fight, the score to fight. But like, I was never a fighter, and I understand how you got into it just because you're so big. And when you're that big, there's no way out of it, especially
Oh
back
yeah.
when we were coming up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's nowhere to hide. No, nothing like that. And it was a side, like I said, but it was a lot to do with my brother, just because of the way he played, the way he made it to the NHL, was that he didn't care. He'd get beat up all the time in junior. He just fight everybody, didn't care. And then that trickled down to 20-year-olds trying to pick on me because my brother beat him up, and just in a good way, it forced me to fight and have to do it. But yeah, it's just one of those things that, and like, and I do feel like that. Like even scores, like you should be able to fight. You get fired up in a game, somebody chops you, chop them back, fight. Like that's what it's for. You go fight and you're in the box. And but I just don't like the ceremony ones, or the just
The
set up ones,
Yeah,
just for fighting.
yeah,
Like just
yeah.
you're just wasting a roster spot for somebody that could be making that money, that could contribute in other ways as well, right?
Man, when I played with you, you contributed so many ways. I bet you, what did you have? 20 to 25 goals. I don't even know what it was, but like,
Yeah, 20, 25, yeah, 23, 25, yeah.
me and you were playing on the third line, and we were grooving with Matthew Myers.
Yeah.
I didn't last long the next year, but it wasn't the same line
Yeah.
and it wasn't the same results. But they figured it out without me for a while, but it never quite came to fruition. But I don't know, man. That line of me, you, and Myers, it, like, if you want a third line in that league,
Yeah. Yeah, it was
bring,
good.
I mean, bring the old balls, bring the big guy, and bring the guy that'll go to the net.
Bring mackerel leg
Yeah.
lover.
Yeah, let's roll. Yeah. Um, well, you got anything else to say before we shut her down?
No, man. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me on here. Like you said, we fortunately still do get to hang out and kept in touch after all these years, and um, I think it's nice that we can continue to do this, and all the fans in Cardiff and Dundee and Telford, and Toledo, fuck every place I've played. There's thousands of teams I've played for.
Another F bomb. Another F
It's
bomb.
been buddy, you're saying butthole on here. I can't say F bomb.
Not a swear word in the kids' world.
Yeah, it's been it's a great experience, and yeah, hopefully get to come back and visit and plan on it, and visiting those cities and towns and seeing some games and hanging out with the fans that were there when we were there.
I doubt you're ever going to go back there, but I'm just being serious. Like I will never go back and watch a Dayton Bombers game because I don't even know if that team exists anymore. But
they don't, so you can't.
Okay, so
I
there
go
you
see
go.
Toledo.
Yeah, in the new arena, but can you go watch the old arena? Okay, it's time to shut this down. We've had a long enough chat, but anything else before I say goodbye?
No, that's it, buddy. Thanks, appreciate it. Hopefully get to see you soon before the COVID.
You're gonna see me as soon as I hit. You're gonna see me as soon as I hit stop right now.